Marcello's in court. Marcello's in court. And he's sitting there waiting for the jury to come back on his case that Bobby Kennedy instigated.
Yeah. Now, do you think that the mob in this case, let's just call it, let's put the mob and Cuban exiles in the same boat just for a second and not worry about the semantics of who officially ended up on the ground, whether it's both or all that. Let's just say they're both brought into this discussion with CIA. I would think that they're going to be left in the dark on pretty much everything other than where their expertise is going to be brought in, which is maybe actually whacking the guy or say whacking Oswald afterwards. And the government is going to say, look, we're already making a deal with you. We're giving you something you want. You're giving something we want to us. But all the details of how this is going to go down beforehand and more importantly afterwards, you guys don't know shit about that.
Yeah. So this is how I did a major heist back then. Back in the day.
During my rogue days.
During my rogue days. I was known for doing heists. That was my thing. And I was investigated for it and put away by the FBI. That was my thing. If I did a major heist, I would try my best to disassociate pieces. So for example, let's say I need 2 stolen cars. I would ask Alessi, who doesn't know you really. Alessi's from Brooklyn, you're from the Bronx maybe. I would ask him to do me a favor, get me 2 cars, I need them. He don't ask questions, he gets me the 2 cars. I put them on the side. I'd ask you, do me a favor, you got an apartment I could borrow? Maybe I got to bring somebody there for like 2 hours while I get to the safe.
Right.
You do me a favor.
Compartmentalization.
I do that with everybody I could at all times. So when the FBI finally got me for the big stuff, they could never get me. I did all of these things, I separated. So you get one stool pigeon, he's going to go, I got the cause. For what? I don't know. I mean, seriously. So, there was like elements where I only knew how it all worked. So take that now. I'm a bird brain on the streets of New York pulling heists. A naive kid, ignorant in every which way, but smart enough to pull off a heist. In all fairness, but still a bird brain in many ways. I was immature. I was doing bad things. Now take that to another level. You have brilliant guys who are masters of intrigue, like David Ferry is called, the master of intrigue. And he knows how to put the pieces together. And he's doing that on a high level. I'm playing checkers, he's playing chess. And he's doing that with all of these different conspirators maybe. And let me tell you something. When Garrison finally went after Ferry, the day they told Ferry, they revealed him as a chief suspect in the new Garrison investigation when Garrison reopened. Garrison went home, just to give you a snapshot. Garrison went home and he read the multi-volume, 26 or 28 volumes of the Warren Commission report, 888-page final report. And he says, this is a bunch of bullshit.
And he was the DA in New Orleans, right?
In New Orleans, right. That's right. And he goes, you know what? I'm going to open up a case. So he goes after Ferry, and he never goes near Marcello, though. And a lot of people ask smart questions like G. Robert Blakey, who you mentioned for the RICO.
Yeah.
G. Robert Blakey goes, gee, it's real curious how Jim Garrison could go after Ferry with such this crusading spirit, but tiptoe around Marcello.
Right.
And literally they're in bed with each other leading up to the assassination. And after the assassination, Marcello, he's no longer needed in court because Marcello's acquitted the day of the Dealey Plaza hit. The day of.
Oh, he's acquitted?
Oh, man, this is a big part.
Yeah, fill me in.
Marcello is in court for the
Because there's a famous story of Trafficante and Marcello with another context, but please fill this.
This is great. Marcello's in court. Marcello's in court. And he's sitting there waiting for the jury to come back on his case that Bobby Kennedy instigated.
The deportation case.
No, illegal reentry.
Right.
Which stemmed from, you're right.
Which would then involve him being deported.
Correct. So now Bobby is at a big organized crime meeting in Washington that he's chairing, and he's the AG. So he's got prosecutors from around the country, and he's going through this whole thing of how he's going to target the mob. And John F. Kennedy's second term, we're going to step it up even way more than we did this time. We're going to destroy them and dismantle them piece by piece till there's nothing left. That's Bobby's agenda. He's in Washington doing that. Carlos Marcello's in Louisiana on trial. The jury goes out for the illegal reentry / deportation case. If he loses, he goes to jail and then gets deported.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got everything on the line. Everything on the line. Who's in court with him? David Ferry. Oh, it gets better.
On the 22nd.
Oh, it gets better. Gets better. As they're waiting for the verdict, they're waiting for the jury foreman to come back with the verdict. The bailiff walks in. And the bailiff walks up to the judge and hands the judge a piece of paper. The judge looks down, and then all of a sudden, a look of shock goes across the judge's face. And he says, I have very bad news. He says, the president's been shot in Dallas. And the whole courtroom gasps, except Marcello and his brother, who was on trial with him, because they tried to loop the brother in, Bobby did. They're stone-faced. Now, there's no record, I said, of Ferry's expression, but he was in court too. But we don't have Ferry's expression.
How do we have a record of Marcello's expression without cameras?
John H. Davis reported, spoke to witnesses in the courtroom who reported Marcello's expression.
When did they report that?
After the fact. Gosh.
Because that could change.
It could change.
It could be people trying to put it together. Like,
but whatever his expression was, it happened, right? So let's just move that. Ferry's in the courtroom with him, though. That's a given. Now, he's acquitted. And they just get word. I'm sorry, they just get word as he's waiting to be acquitted. Then he's acquitted. Then the jury comes back. Later comes out he bought a juror. He's acquitted.
No
he leaves the court and his family wants to celebrate. And they said he's got something heavy on his mind. And him and Ferry talk, and then Ferry takes off for Texas through a midnight storm. He flies to Texas.
He flies to the scene of the crime?
No, not flies in a plane. I mean flies in a vehicle.
I know. He goes to the scene of the crime?
He goes to Houston, to the Alamo Motel, which is owned by Marcello. And he calls Marcello collect when he gets there. Why did Marcello have a look of consternation on his face? And why did Ferry fly in a panic? They just got word that someone was picked up by the police, Lee Harvey Oswald. When they find out Oswald was picked up by the police.
And who's Oswald to them at that time?
Oswald was not only, there was a guy, Dutz Moret, who was a bookmaker in Marcello's Borgata. Dutz Moret was the uncle of Lee Harvey Oswald, who pretty much took Oswald in throughout his life anytime Oswald had nowhere to go. So that's Dutz Moret. He's a bookmaker for Marcello. He's seen in the company Oswald with other people from the Marcello Borgata. But he may have just been running numbers for Dutz Moret. Okay, maybe. He's also seen with Ferry in Guy Bannister's office, who's a retired FBI agent. And he's also seen with Ferry, he's also seen with Ferry in training camps that Marcello funds and underwrites. And he's also, everybody denies it for years. They said, oh, he didn't know. There's no proof that Ferry knew Oswald. That's a lie. It's a lie. People said they saw him together, but they didn't. Then all of a sudden, a little photograph surfaced of Oswald and Ferry in the same photo together when they did the Civil Air Patrol together. So now it's proven that they at least knew each other then. And we could assume that the witnesses aren't lying when they say they knew each other now. Then other witnesses says they were seen together in Jack Ruby's Topless Bar. And Lee Harvey Oswald was introduced as Lee from the CIA to somebody else. So now there's a lot of evidence that he's connected. Ferry, there's a look of consternation on Marcello's face because he knows that Ferry's definitely connected to Oswald and maybe could be connected to him through Dutz Moret, who knows. And Ferry's in a complete panic. And he drives through the night. I say flies, meaning speeding now. He drives through the night through a thunderstorm, lands in Houston. And he goes to this roller rink and he uses the public phone all day and night there the next day. And he's receiving and sending calls out. Well, at some point or another, this guy, Jack Martin, has a beef with, and this is in that film too, the JFK film. He has a beef with Guy Bannister. They're arguing. And he says, what are you going to do? Kill me like you guys just killed Kennedy? Martin takes out a .357. I'm sorry. Guy Bannister takes out a .357 and pistol whips Martin into a bloody pulp.
Yeah.
Martin goes to the hospital and tells the FBI, the prosecutor.
This is in the movie JFK. I remember that.
He says, look, I think they killed Kennedy. And Ferry is always connected with Oswald. They're always together at Guy Bannister's office. So there's a direct connection now. So Ferry's making these phone calls. When Ferry's now realizes he's wanted for questioning by Garrison, Garrison gets Ferry back. Ferry goes, I was at the roller rink talking to the owner about opening up a roller rink in Louisiana. And we just hung out there that day and I talked to him about business. So he goes, I don't believe this guy. He passes him off to the FBI and the Secret Service. They question him. They don't believe him. FBI goes to Chuck Rowland, who owned the rink. And they go, look, is this true? He goes, no, he's lying. We didn't talk about business. He goes, that guy used my phone the whole day, back and forth. He was just making and receiving phone calls. It was weird. So instead of investigating any further, Hoover tells his agents, don't worry about it. Don't follow up. Let him go. We cracked the case. It's Oswald, lone nut.
Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.